She was a bright, loving 16-year-old with her whole life ahead of her, adored by her family and friends. But on an ordinary February day in 2015, Becky Watts disappeared from her quiet Bristol home, sparking a frantic search that gripped an entire nation. What happened to Becky shocked everyone. A heartbreaking reminder of the dangers that sometimes lurk closer than we imagine. Welcome back to Chilling Fireside Stories, where we uncover true crime cases that demand to be told. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Before we begin, a quick warning. This story involves sensitive topics that some viewers may find distressing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. My goal is to honor Becky's memory by shedding light on her story in a respectful and thoughtful way. Now settle in and let's begin. Rebecca Watts was born on June 3, 1998 in Bristol, England. Described as kind, funny and full of life, Becky had a big personality despite her quiet nature. Becky's friends often spoke of her love for music, fashion, and spending time with her family. Her parents split up before she was born, and she initially lived with her mother, Tanya. Later, concerns of neglect led to Becky and her brother Dan being taken into care. They eventually moved in with their father, Darren. In 2013, Darren married Angie, who had a son named Nathan. Becky was incredibly close to her father, Darren Galsworthy, and her stepmother, Angie. Becky was a typical teenager navigating life's challenges, and she struggled with social anxiety. She had dreams of becoming a veterinarian and loved animals. She also got on well with her stepbrother, Nathan Matthews, though their relationship was not without its complexities, a detail that would later become tragically significant. Nathan, 10 years older than Becky, had been part of her life since she was just 2 years old, after his mother began a relationship with Becky's father, Darren Galsworthy. Despite this long-standing family connection, Nathan's relationship with Becky was distant and strained. He lived nearby with his grandmother but often visited his mother and stepfamily. In 2008, Nathan Matthews, 21 years old, introduced his new girlfriend Shauna Hull to the family. Nathan claimed she was 19, but in reality she was only 15. Darren, Becky's father, knew Nathan was lying and insisted that Shauna be taken home. Darren had fought hard to secure his children's stability and was determined to protect it. Despite Darren's initial dislike for Shauna, sensing something off about her, Nathan and Shauna stayed together and eventually had a daughter. On the morning of Thursday, February 19, 2015, Rebecca Watts, affectionately known as Becky, left her home in Crown Hill, Bristol with her tablet, phone and laptop. She hadn't taken any spare clothes or other belongings, which was unusual for her. Becky had informed her family that she was going to see her boyfriend, Luke, but never got there. Becky's friends mentioned she seemed her usual self the day before, with no signs of distress or plans to run away. Her boyfriend, Luke, kept messaging her but received no response, which made him increasingly worried. After calling 999 the next day, Becky's father made a desperate plea on Facebook, asking for any information on her whereabouts. He mentioned that Becky had left to meet her boyfriend on the morning of the 19th but never arrived. Her friends had not seen her since. The police started a search and Becky's father expressed his deep concern and fear, pleading for her safe return. Flyers and posters bearing Becky's smiling face were plastered across Bristol, and social media exploded with pleas for information. The community's response was overwhelming as neighbors, friends, and even strangers joined the search for Becky. Detective Chief Inspector Richard O'Cone noted that Becky's inactivity on social media was alarming, as she was usually in regular contact with her friends. The case quickly garnered national media attention, highlighting the urgent need to find Becky. On Wednesday, February 25, 2015, Becky's family was asked to leave their home so that a thorough search could be conducted. Despite extensive efforts, there was still no sign of her. Multiple search teams were deployed to various locations, including wooded areas and 3 houses. The College of Policing and the National Crime Agency were brought in to assist to conduct searches over areas such as Troopers Hill Nature Reserve and a local lake. However, Becky remained missing. The hashtag #FindBecky began circulating on social media, and the police used Twitter to spread the word about her disappearance. The investigation team needed to talk to those closest to Becky to piece together her last known movements and gather any relevant information. They aimed to build a comprehensive picture of who Becky was, hoping that the answers to their questions could provide crucial leads. As the investigation progressed, police turned their attention to Becky's home. There were no signs of forced entry, leading investigators to believe she had willingly let someone in or that someone close to her was involved. They spoke with Becky's stepmother, Angie, and continued their inquiries. It was soon discovered that the last people to see Becky were her stepbrother, Nathan Matthews, and his girlfriend, Shauna Hoare. Initially, they were difficult to reach for an interview, but officers eventually managed to contact them and asked them to come to the station. Shauna provided her account of the day Becky went missing, describing hearing the door slam.
11ish. The door was locked, so obviously we used a key from underneath the recycling bin. Got in. Heard music upstairs. Assumed Becky had been in then. I went into the kitchen to get a cigarette and went to go outside to have a cigarette. My daughter started whinging because she wanted to come out with me, so I took her down to the garden to help feed the rabbit while I had a cigarette. Probably was about 15-20 minutes. Then we came back up. I went into the kitchen to get a drink. I think I was washing my hands. Then I heard the front door slam. Carried on washing my hands, went into the living room. And then I think it wasn't until a lot later on that Angie asked me if Becky had gone out. And I said, yeah, I heard the door go. She must have gone out earlier. Washing my hands, I think I heard the door slam, front door. Again, I didn't look at the time or think anything of it, so I didn't really kind of like, oh, what was that? It was just the door, so Becky would have gone out.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I think I've accidentally got this in the wrong order here.
Okay.
You have to clarify this. So, right, let me just go back slightly then, if I could. The door slamming then. You've already said you got to go from the kitchen through to the living room.
Yep.
So, how far away from that front door would you have been?
But you got the front door, the living room, and about halfway up the hallway is the kitchen. So I would have been at the sink. So no distance, a reasonable amount, I'd say. Okay.
And immediately before this sound of the door slamming, what could you hear then?
I think it was just CBeebies again, to be honest. I was kind of more, trying to make sure I had vitamins back and getting my drink.
Yeah.
No, I heard stomping down the stairs. That's what made me think that Becky had left in a mood. So I said to Angie, because obviously the door slammed, but I wasn't sure if that was the wind. I took it because there was like quite stomp, stomp, stomp down the stairs. I assumed, she was in a bit of one of her tantrums.
Nathan gave a similar account. Several things stood out to investigators. Shauna appeared giggly and rather upbeat during her interview, and Nathan's behavior also raised suspicions. Detective Chief Inspector Richard O'Cone noted that the alignment of their stories indicated they had spoken to each other beforehand and colluded to ensure their stories matched. It had been 9 days since Becky was last seen, and the police brought in the Major Crime Unit to assist with the investigation, turning their efforts back to Becky's house. Upon entering with the forensics unit, they made a sinister discovery: faint spots of blood on the door frame of Becky's bedroom with fingerprints in the blood as well. While investigators were analyzing evidence, Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hoare were called back for a second round of interviews. It was during this time that Shauna's statement raised eyebrows. She mentioned Nathan was struggling emotionally, which conflicted with his own account, further heightening the officer's suspicions.
Has Nathan had any sort of concerns about speaking to us?
Not that he's told me, no.
No. Okay.
If he does, I wouldn't know then.
Yeah. How is he finding it?
He's found it quite hard, actually. Again, he's kind of more thinking, my God, if it was... Or again, knowing how hard it would be for his mum at the moment. You know, because Becky was almost like a daughter to her.
Yeah.
You know, when it is...
And then over the weekend, have either you and Nathan been involved in searching for Becky or doing any?
No, I wasn't aware they were doing a search. I didn't realise until I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I went on my Facebook and obviously there was news articles and pictures popped up about that they did the search, but we weren't told about it at all.
Well, that's fine. Okay, so to Nathan, that's actually a good thing. Where did you guys go then over the weekend? I don't know if you're able to remember that far back.
Well, the weekend that Becky, after
Becky went missing, I think if I help you, so I think it was on Monday actually that you spoke to police officers, detectives.
Which would have been outside my mum's house.
That's right.
So I would have went to my mum's that day.
So that was on Monday.
I think I went over on Tuesday.
Where did you stay on Monday night? Do you remember?
It would have been at my house, but we didn't leave until about midnight, to be honest.
You left about midnight
Monday.
Yeah,
most nights we did. Tuesday we went over again.
Yeah.
Again, probably would have left about midnight.
Yeah.
Wednesday, I think we stayed in my house. We might have gone over again Wednesday, actually, I think. Thursday, which was yesterday.
That was yesterday?
Yeah, we had the interview, and then obviously we've gone over again today. Yeah, because Wednesday we started watching a film, or two films that my mum's fell asleep and we didn't leave until 2 o'clock in the morning or something.
On Wednesday?
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Thursday, yeah.
And then Thursday we obviously had the interview, and then today.
Later, the shocking forensic results finally arrived. The fingerprints found in the bloodstains were a match for Nathan Matthews, and further analysis confirmed that the blood belonged to Becky Watts. The grim truth was becoming undeniable. On Saturday, February 28, 2015, police arrested Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hoare at a home in Bristol. Following their arrest, Nathan and Shauna were taken to the police station for questioning. Initially, Nathan was allowed to speak freely, building his confidence, but the officers soon switched to a more direct questioning strategy. Meanwhile, they also interrogated Shauna about her version of events. A forensics team was dispatched to Nathan and Shauna's home, which was found in a state of disarray, cluttered with items and mess. However, one part of the upstairs floor stood out: the bathroom. Unlike the rest of the house, the bathtub was spotless, shiny, and extremely clean, which immediately drew attention. As the investigation continued, officers strategically withheld the latest developments and evidence. Over the next 2 days, the forensics team meticulously searched the cluttered home, leading to a crucial discovery: 2 receipts from B&Q showing the purchase of an electric circular saw, goggles, gloves, and a mask on the day Becky was reported missing. CCTV footage confirmed that Nathan was the buyer. Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hall were rearrested on suspicion of Becky's murder. The devastating news was delivered to Becky's family. The investigation had now become a murder case, and Nathan and Shauna were the prime suspects. Becky's father, Darren, described the moment as his world collapsing. As the heartbreaking news spread, the community came together to honor Becky. Flowers were laid near the family home, and St. Ambrose Church opened its doors, providing a book of remembrance and a place for people to light candles in her memory. Adding to the tragedy, Becky was murdered on her brother Dan's 20th birthday. During the investigation, officers strategically withheld the discovery of the receipts but continued to pressure Nathan and Shauna by suggesting that the house had been forensically searched, leaving them guessing about what had been found. On Tuesday, March 3, 2015 at 10:26 p.m., Nathan's lawyer provided a statement to the police. Nathan Matthews refused to listen and stuck his fingers in his ears to drown out the sound as his statement was read. In his statement, Nathan confessed to being responsible for the death of Rebecca Watts on February 19, 2015. He explained that he and his girlfriend, Shauna Hoare, went to Becky's home with the intention of scaring her.
I came up with the idea to scare her, because, to try and basically make her more appreciative of life, so she'd be more appreciative for other people. She'd be
Nathan had brought a large bag, stun device, handcuffs, tape, and a mask, planning to teach Becky a lesson. Believing her behavior was a risk to his mother's health, he attempted to subdue her. However, during the struggle his mask slipped, causing Becky to see his face. Panicking, Nathan restrained her. The tragic details of Becky's case continued to unfold. After her death, Nathan used the saw he purchased from B&Q in an attempt to cover his actions, which confirmed officers' suspicions about the unusually clean bathtub. The residents of the house where Becky's body parts were found were arrested for assisting an offender. Although they initially claimed ignorance of the bag's contents, they later pleaded guilty. Detective Sergeant John Dowding discovered several suitcases and bags in the shed, containing remains wrapped in plastic. Measures had been taken to mask any evidence. The pathology report revealed that Becky had fought fiercely for her life and had to be identified using DNA. The search for Becky Watts had been one of the largest investigations undertaken by Avon and Somerset police. For the dedicated officers who worked tirelessly to bring Becky home, this was a heart-wrenching conclusion. Despite Nathan's confession, investigators wanted to determine if his girlfriend Shauna played a bigger role than suggested. Shauna adamantly claimed that she only learned of Nathan's involvement the day before his statement. The truth of what happened finally emerged. On Thursday, February 19, 2015, Becky arrived home after spending the night at a friend's house. At 10:50 a.m., Shauna and Nathan drove to Becky's home, knowing she would be alone as Angie had a hospital appointment. Nathan reversed the car into the driveway with the boot facing the front door. At 11:03 a.m., Becky sent her last text message to her boyfriend, saying she was listening to music. She was then attacked and subdued, and her body was placed in the car's boot. At 12:45 p.m., Angie returned home and Nathan and Shauna acted as if nothing had happened. Becky's boyfriend arrived at 5 p.m., concerned that she wasn't responding to messages. Shauna pretended to check Becky's room, and Angie agreed that it was unusual for her not to respond. At 7 p.m., after spending the day with the family and with Becky's body still in the boot, Shauna and Nathan drove home. There they took further steps to cover their actions and ordered pizza and Chinese food. Nathan then pretended to receive a phone call from a friend, went to B&Q and purchased the necessary items. On Friday, February 20th at 12:20 p.m., Nathan bought drain cleaner, gloves, masks, goggles and a saw from B&Q. At 3:10 p.m., Shauna sent him a message jokingly asking about his work finish time. At 4 p.m. the 999 call was made and Becky was reported missing. At 6:35 p.m., the police visited Becky's home and spoke with Darren, Angie, Nathan and Shauna. Nathan and Shauna claimed they heard Becky leave the house the previous morning. By 9 p.m. they returned home and watched a YouTube video. On February 21st they bought bin bags, gloves, rubble sacks, cling film and bleach. The following day they purchased more supplies including a sponge, rubble sacks and tape. On February 23rd, the police visited their house but received no response. On that day Shauna shared Darren's Facebook post, pleading for Becky's safe return. At 4:38 p.m., a phone belonging to the couple searched Find Becky Watts on Google. Just 2 minutes later, Shauna called her estranged mother to arrange a visit after 4 years of no contact. On February 24th at 2:19 a.m., CCTV captured a white van driving from Cotton Mill Lane to the location where Becky's remains were found. After 96 hours of intense interviews, Nathan Matthews was charged with the murder of his stepsister Becky Watts. Although there wasn't enough evidence to charge Shauna with murder, she was charged with perverting the course of justice. The police continued to build their case against her, meticulously examining every aspect of their lives, including phone records and computers. Over the following 8 weeks, the investigation revealed a crucial piece of evidence on one of Shauna's mobile phones. Despite the messages being deleted, officers were able to recover them. The messages showed Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hoare discussing the abduction of a young woman and hiding her in the attic. Additionally, internet searches on their devices included inappropriate and concerning topics. A bag containing some of Becky's remains had Shauna's DNA on it, as did one of the masks. This crucial piece of evidence led to Shauna Hall being charged with the murder of Becky Watts on June 22. Becky's funeral was held on April 17 at St. Ambrose Church, where the public was invited to attend the service, although her burial remained private. Mourners lined the streets as her coffin, carried on a horse-drawn carriage, passed by, and a white dove was released in her honor. The trial of Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hall began on October 6, 2015 at Bristol Crown Court. Becky's family was stunned to learn that 2 years prior, Becky had confided in a friend about Nathan explaining how he planned to harm her. This revelation had never been shared with her family. Nathan's history in the Territorial Army and the testimonies of those who knew him added another layer of complexity to the case. In the courtroom, unsettling details emerged about Nathan and Shauna's relationship and actions. Prosecutor William Mosley QC suggested that there was not only an apparent dislike for Rebecca Watts but also a possible underlying motive. Shauna claimed innocence and stated that she was scared of Nathan, but the prosecution argued that they had acted together. Shauna's estranged mother testified that Shauna's sudden desire to reconnect after Becky's death seemed suspicious. When it was time for the jury to deliberate, they reached a unanimous verdict after just 3 hours. Shauna Hall was found guilty of the kidnap and manslaughter of Becky Watts, while Nathan Matthews was found guilty of the kidnap and murder of Becky Watts. Shauna was sentenced to 17 years in prison, and Nathan received a life sentence with a minimum term of 33 years. As Nathan was led away to begin his sentence, he couldn't look his family in the eye and instead stared at the floor. In June 2016, both Nathan Matthews and Shauna Hall lost their appeals against their convictions. Following Becky's death, a serious case review was commissioned by the Bristol Safeguarding Children Board. The report concluded that her murder couldn't have been predicted or prevented but noted that there hadn't been enough attention paid to Becky's wider family, including her stepbrother and his girlfriend. It also mentioned that Becky's challenging behavior and anxiety were a result of the bullying she endured from Matthews. Darren, Becky's father, wrote a book about his daughter titled Becky, The Heartbreaking Story of Becky Watts. In an interview, he expressed his deep grief and anger, revealing the immense toll the tragedy took on him, including significant weight loss and difficulty sleeping and eating. Despite the devastating events, Darren and Angie's marriage survived, and they remained committed to each other. The community's support during this time was extraordinary, with many people lending a hand and doing their best to help. A balloon launch was organized in Becky's memory, symbolizing the community's solidarity and love. Becky Watts' story is both heartbreaking and unforgettable. Her family perhaps best summed her up with these words: "She was like a tornado, hurricane, and sunbeam all at once. She came into your life and made you feel alive." Becky Watts' case is a devastating reminder of how trust can be betrayed in the most unimaginable ways. Her story has touched the hearts of many and serves as a call to action to protect those we love. If you found this story moving, please like this video and share it to keep Becky's memory alive. Don't forget to subscribe to Chilling Fireside Stories and turn on the notification bell for more true crime stories that deserve to be told. Let's honor Becky by staying vigilant and supporting each other. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and look after your loved ones.